well, he's got the capability of doing it. So I appreciate that tremendously. All right, so looks like we are about live on YouTube.
Okay.
And just give us a second to this thing's going to redirect, and there we go. And we're good. So welcome, Zita. We're here to read and talk about this beautiful book by Corinne Zupko. And hi, Jorge. Good morning. The Claire's for course students. And I've been really enjoying this tremendously. So uh,
Okay.
it's very interesting. There we go. So we are at the section called claircognizance and the body. So
Hmm.
claircognizance is knowing, intuitively knowing ahead of time what is going on, or recognizing what is going on, I guess. And
Yes,
so, yeah, would you like to read?
sure. I can read. So, claircognizance is a lower body intuitive skill. It is associated with the lower chakras, particularly the back of the second chakra. Through the back of the second chakra, we strengthen a sense of the internal boundaries of self in this world, where you end and another begins. This sense of self is very important so as to not lose yourself in too much clairsentience, which is feeling others' feelings or even getting caught in a projection, which involves the front of the second chakra. When repurposed, having a strong sense of inner boundaries means that you can more easily identify with a strong sense of yourself or your soul beyond the body. When you know yourself, all things are possible. I like that. Okay.
Oh yeah, I muted myself. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. That's it. And so it's something that we can control
hmm,
by repurposing, or by looking at how we're using it, because we're doing it anyway, whether we are controlling it or not.
yeah.
We're having these senses about things. We're having these feelings about things. We're knowing this stuff.
Mhm.
So, um, either you reject it and say that doesn't mean anything, or you accept it, and then it gives you tremendous power
Yeah.
to walk around the world
Hmm.
with
Yeah.
this sense of knowing.
So,
So,
and there is two more parts, I guess. So, how to strengthen, which is one of the, looks like that's what she's been doing with all of these clairs, and then reflection questions. So, you want me to read
sure,
or okay?
absolutely.
Okay. So, how to strengthen claircognizance? Practice energetically grounding your body. Practice the lessons in A Course in Miracles. This mind training program helps you learn the knowing that you do not walk alone. Practice getting radically honest with yourself and with the Holy Spirit. The more alignment there is between what you say, think, and do, the clearer your claircognizance becomes. Practice trusting yourself as you authentically turn to the Holy Spirit. While trusting yourself can sound like it is increasing ego or separation, that is not what I mean. Trust yourself in terms of the subtle knowing that arises from deep within you. When you trust your claircognizance, which is your self, capital S self, speaking to you, you are trusting your own soul, and you will eventually identify with your own soul instead of the body. So, claircognizance reflection questions. Have you had the experience of just knowing something for no other reason than you just know? If so, Write it down so you remember it. It's too easy to forget our clear experiences. Have you noticed that either absorbing information like listening to a podcast or receiving information like an intuitive download happens more easily when you're moving your body? Whether the answer is yes or no, experiment with movement. See if you listen better at times when you are moving. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is really interesting. And she had mentioned that before about the
Yeah.
moving thing.
About,
And
mhm.
uh, I don't know. I guess I haven't noticed it, but I will try to think about that. But uh, maybe maybe it's something like if you have um like ADHD or something, or I'm not saying that they're
Mhm.
it's clinical or anything, but
Yeah.
if you have something that keeps you from being able to fully concentrate on something,
Yeah.
because your mind is wandering or being um, uh, drawn away into other thinking,
Mhm.
maybe for if that's happening, that maybe moving around or doing something. And I'm not sure what she means by moving around.
Maybe
Like
like maybe walking or
walking maybe, or uh I mean, I don't know. I,
dancing.
I don't know. So I'll have to ask her.
Well,
I see her about once a month. I talk
oh,
to her.
oh, you could
I'll
ask.
ask her what she means. What do you mean by this
Yeah.
moving around thing?
Well,
Uh,
I do have an example, is not from me, but from Rumi. Remember Rumi?
yeah.
That he would dance around, he would be twirling, and that's how he got
Yeah.
inspired and he received things. So maybe that's what he was doing. Like he was getting into a trance, right? Isn't that like a trance that he would be getting?
Right. And it actually, yeah, I've done that.
Mm,
The Sufi dancing,
yeah.
like what they call it, the dervish, the whirling dervish, or
Hmm.
whatever it is. A friend of mine is the Sheikh of London,
Oh.
and he has a whole group of people, and they just had a big ceremony just recently. He posted on Facebook
Mhm,
of them doing the turning. And and yeah, that's what they do. They turn with their arm up, or there's certain positions,
mhm,
and it's enter and only counterclockwise.
hmm,
So it's all, and so it's something
mm,
ceremonial, but it's also uh meditative. So it's a
yeah,
meditative state
yeah,
that they go into. So yeah, I can understand that.
yeah,
Not that I'd be doing that much,
yeah.
in my house or out on the park or something, but
I,
maybe.
I can't even, no. I get dizzy just by maybe one or two twirls.
Yeah, yeah, it really is an art. It
Yeah,
really is an art to learn to do that without becoming dizzy. I mean, it's a
yeah,
whole focus. So,
right, right.
but that's pretty funny. So uh the she's suggesting, first off, back here, that we practice energetically grounding your body, which, we've talked about that. And, people do a lot, just go out and barefoot, stand
Mhm,
at the ground and
right.
ground their body, or, sit outside or whatever, connect to the earth.
Hmm.
Um, Practicing the lessons in A Course in Miracles.
Hmm.
The mind training program helps you learn the knowing that you do not walk alone. And actually, I find that's very true, the mind training from the Course in Miracles,
Hmm.
because it does, first you're questioning your thoughts, and you're looking at, how God would want you to think and see things.
Hmm.
So you become more open to reality. Um, Practicing getting radically honest with yourself and with the Holy Spirit. Um, but she says the more alignment there is between what you think, say, and do, the clearer your claircognizance
Hmm.
becomes. And that actually is the definition, basically, of honesty.
Right.
In Course in Miracles, when it's talking about development of trust, that
Hmm.
honesty is, or the characteristics of a teacher is consistency. The course says it's consistency and says that what you think, say, and do is all in alignment.
Hmm.
So that is a great practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then practice trusting yourself as you authentically turn to the Holy Spirit. Um, that trusting yourself means listening to these
The
things
voice.
intuitively that come up within us. And what happens a lot of times when we're set with a situation, that thing will come up right away, the thought
Hmm.
of what you need to do, but the mind gets involved and starts saying, well, remember when this happened before, or you knew that people thought like this, so let's go back in the past and look at how you reacted, or
Yeah.
how you're supposed to react, or how you're told to react. And so we look to the past to try to help us to understand what we should be doing now. But
Hmm.
instead of doing that, because that's with the ego. But instead of doing that, if we allow the Holy Spirit to just instinctively tell us of how to see things,
Hmm.
uh, then you do shift. You do have a shift, and you do identify with your soul rather than the body.
Yeah.
That's been my experience anyway.
No, and it is true. You, it's been my experience that you can be saying one thing and then actually doing something else, which goes totally against what you are expressing. And that's where the confusion lies, even within yourself and with others, because there is no way to say that thought can be trusted, or that action can be trusted, because it's not matching, it's not aligning with that, whatever it is that's coming out of our mouth or their mouth, or whoever. um so it makes it more difficult to trust. The other thing that I had is that as you were talking and it says to listen to yourself, there's a couple of things. One is that I've heard through this guy Sterling that he says there is no such thing as you are two people, like two, you have your lower self and your higher self. He's like, no, you are yourself. That's it. It's just yourself. There is no such thing. So that leads me to even more, I guess, deeply into this thought that we do have that distinction of the higher self and the lower self, because we can say that the higher self is all knowing and the lower self is focused on this reality, and therefore is kind of murky with and enmeshed with the ego, basically the ego, right? The little self. And the voice that we are supposed to be listening to is the Holy Spirit, which is really ourself, right? We're all one. We're all the same. Our Holy Spirit. Um, and then on top of that, when we say listen to ourself, it is that self of the self that's connected. We're always connected. It makes it sound like when you say the one that's connected, well, we're always connected. It's just that we're kind of blurred out with the whole ego thing. Um, that kind of murks the waters a bit. But when we're listening to that, it's like we're listening to that voice, that voice within. I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, or
No, it absolutely makes
but
sense.
that's how I
Because
see
we
it.
don't you don't learn to listen to that, because the world tells you you got to be afraid of that. Because
Mm-hmm.
it can't control, the ego can't control that.
Yeah.
So that the only one that can control that is your own true self. So if the ego can't control it, it doesn't want you to get involved in it. So it'll tell you, oh no, you're crazy thinking, or you don't understand the whole situation, or what you're thinking. I mean, it'll give you all kinds of doubt.
Mhm.
The ego just brings you into doubt. And so in order to develop that certainty
Mhm.
in this knowing that
Mhm.
she's talking about, the knowing of what is real and what is the right thing to do at any time, you really do have to connect with the Holy Spirit that's in yourself. That is the reality of what you are. That the other stuff is just trying to make you doubt.
Yeah.
And if at any time
Yeah.
I feel uneasy or doubtful about any circumstance or situation, I know that's the ego that's getting that's trying to draw me aside or make me go astray.
Yeah.
Not because it hates me or anything, but because it doesn't want me to know my own strength, know my own power, and to have trust in the reality of what I am. So, at that point, I can just let that go.
Mm.
I don't even have to be, um, I don't even have to think about it twice. I just have to look at it and say, obviously this is BS because
Yeah.
God would never make me so confused.
Right.
The Holy Spirit would never confuse me
Yeah.
or make me afraid.
Right.
So if I'm confused or afraid about some situation, it's because I'm listening to the wrong voice.
Right.
And I can choose to listen to the right voice, which I think is this same thing as this claircognizance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like just it's funny how how it all connects if we're looking at it from a certain perspective, right? Um, and from our perspective, from the course, we can see it that way. At least I think that's what I'm gathering from
Yeah.
all. Um,
Well, yeah, because the ego, it doesn't want me to rest in God. The
no,
ego wants me to be afraid and to be obedient to what it's asking me to do.
yeah,
Because the minute I recognize that that is not something that is helping me, and I don't want to be involved in it anymore, that's when I tell the ego, get the heck out of here, because you're not the boss of me. You're not the boss of me.
yeah,
But as long as it's the ego is gaslighting us, seriously. And we're like so timid that we're afraid uh to even question it. So yeah, I like this.
yeah. Me too. I was just thinking of a recent terrible situation and what happened in Minneapolis.
Yes.
And we are seeing what came to me just as we were talking about this is that this is a whole lot of ego expressing itself in many different ways as what we see. And then also the ego that's telling us, no, what you saw is not real. This is what really happened. Like the voices that are speaking for it, that are saying it was justified, are the voices for the ego, in my opinion, and that's just my opinion. Okay. Um, that is telling you, no, that's not what happened. Even though I know I saw what I saw,
Yeah.
it's telling me, no, that's not what you saw. This is what is real. It's like kind of like pulling you away. And I'm not saying that that's exactly what's happening, but I felt like that was such a clear example of how the ego works, that we are connected all the time. 100% of the time we're connected,
Yeah.
but we muddy the waters with the ego. And so we can be sure of something and 100% sure. And then that ego starts talking, that little gnat. starts changing your mind, as in, no, 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 but why would you be so sure? What if this happens? And what if that happens? And then you go back and you're like, no, but I know that everything's going to be okay. I know that. But what if blah, 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 blah? And so fear is
Well,
always a factor.
yeah, it is. It is. And what I have come to understand, and I think this is pretty well true,
Mm,
um, I have asked to be shown how evil people are.
mm,
I want to see bad people. I recognize that the ego wants to see that there are people out there who are doing bad things. And so I'm calling it to myself in every way, not because I want to see somebody get hurt,
mm,
but because I want somebody to blame.
mm,
The ego wants to blame somebody, to say, this is why I'm afraid. This is why the world is bad. This is why people are bad. The ego is really, really involved in keeping me in that state of mind, because that way I'm easily controlled.
mm,
But when I look and say, I don't want to see I don't want to see the bad things. I
mm,
don't want to see people as evil. And then I look and say, all right, this is no excuse. This is no justification, but recognizing that that person who pulled that trigger was himself in a state of terror,
mhm,
whether it was because he truly believed that something bad was going to happen, or he was convinced that if he didn't act in a certain way, terrible things were going to happen. I mean, look at what's happening. We are being warned every day.
mm,
Oh, these people are bad, and this thing is going wrong, and it's ruining our economy, I mean, we're being fed all these fearful thoughts over and over and over again, to
mm,
where, I mean, and it starts from our infancy, childhood, when
mm,
we're little.
mhm,
We're being told, you watch out for this and watch out for this, and bad things and bad people. So
mm,
it's a conditioning that we have already set up in us to look for what's wrong. And so, we're on high alert for that. And that really makes the ego happy, because that just puts it in control
mm,
and puts me, Holy Spirit, out of control completely, because fear is very compelling to
mm,
people. So, I think about this guy,
mhm,
and I'm sure he's terrified right now. I
mm,
think about this guy and think, here he was so terrified that this woman who just said to him, I'm not mad at you about this,
mhm,
that he would just turn around and bam, bam, bam,
mhm,
and
yeah,
say that terrible thing,
mhm,
and he was so convinced of something that was not true.
yeah,
And I think when it all comes out, we're gonna, really see. But in the meantime, here, a family loses their mother, a woman loses her life,
mm,
and this guy who did the shooting loses his mind.
mhm,
And that
mm,
it's a terrible, terrible thing. But I have to recognize that again, I'm only seeing this because there is something in me that wants to see people are evil, and justice has to be done, and all the all the things that the world tells you
yeah,
you need to believe in. And it's up to me to say no, 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 no more. I'm not going to look for fear anymore. And you show me everything as it is,
yeah,
but let me see that, that if we're all children of God and we're all innocent, then whatever happens here in this world is a reflection of the fear that we have, that is part of this conditioning of the body. It really is conditioning of the body. So, what we're seeing and suggesting is, forget that the conditioning of the body is not what you are.
Yeah.
And when you open up and allow the Holy Spirit to inform you about things, then you're not going to see the world the way that I'm seeing it right now.
Yeah. The other
Anyway,
thing,
that's what I think.
it's the fear is very true, very real, and very bad. But there's also the anger, and I think that there is so much anger in a lot of these people that they're very easy to pull the trigger
Yeah.
in any moment for whatever reason. They carry a lot of that anger. I don't know. It has to be. There has to be a fine line between anger and fear. I'm sure it's all rolled up into one. But it's just that anger that even after killing her, he says what he says. And that is just that anger that's just spewing from a lot of people these days. Like it's all coming up to the surface. And I don't doubt that he was also traumatized by what happened to him previously, right? That he was dragged and he did end up in the hospital at that time. Um, but then in that case, then that person should not have been there anyway.
Shouldn't have been there doing that. But
No,
that's the way it was set up. And
right.
that's what we have to understand. We set it up
Yeah.
so that we could see a guilty person and we
Mhm.
can see, that this is how the ego is so treacherous
Yeah.
at setting these things up for us. And because I wonder, how what would even prompt a person
Mm.
to join up with something
Yeah.
like ICE?
No,
What would prompt a person? Of course they give them money. Okay, that's one thing.
mm,
But no, there has to be a real hatred
yeah,
in their hearts
yeah,
for these people that they're out there to get.
yeah.
And and that is something that's been conditioned
Mhm,
by the world
mhm.
and
Yeah.
conditioned by society. And that's, it's just battle lines are being drawn.
Mhm.
Really, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
We're in for a big battle here, I think, with
Mhm.
the conscience of
Yeah,
humanity.
yeah,
And I'm shocked every day. I'm telling you, I'm shocked every day.
yeah,
I mean that even the United States would go over and kidnap the president of a country and
yeah.
and start uh stealing their oil and stuff. That's I
It's
mean that ain't America.
no,
But
no.
and we'll never be trusted
No.
in the world again after all this, because I would never trust us
It, yeah.
again, never. So anyway, enough of
It
that.
all had to come out so that it could all be healed.
That's
It
right.
all has to come out for it to be healed. That I believe.
Yeah,
It's just that OMG.
yeah, is not nice.
No,
None
it's
of it is
it's
nice.
not pretty.
It's not pretty, but then that's how I mean, the ego is all hatred.
Yeah,
The ego
yeah.
is all hatred.
Mm,
So yeah, that's
um,
exactly who we're siding with when we decide uh, to be angry
mm,
and hateful about things too. So
yeah,
that's why I have to really watch my heart, watch my mind,
yeah,
and not fall into that
yeah.
spell of fear.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, enough of that.
Anyway,
As we go,
let's do like dogs do and shake.
that's right. Shake it out. There's a movement for you.
Yeah. Shake it out.
Shake it up. Uh, let's look at clairsentience.
Okay.
Uh, all right. I'm sure Jorge's over there laughing too. Anyway, clairsentience. Clairsentience is a clear feeling. It
Mm,
is when we receive intuitive information through a sense of feeling. It's different from our emotions of happy, sad, angry, peaceful, etc. Instead, clairsentience is when you feel something that is coming from beyond your body's senses. For example, there may be times when you feel without a doubt that a guide was with you and you are not alone. Or you may, quote, feel the love of God within you now,
Mhm.
from lesson 189.
Mhm.
This feeling comes from deep in your mind and can be experienced as deep within your body. For example, your heart, your gut, your solar plexus, or your sacral area. Um, while clairsentient feelings can come from beyond the physical senses, clairsentient feelings can also arise as we interact with the world. For instance, we may be able to feel another person's energetic state,
Mhm.
which I do that a lot.
Mhm. Me too.
We may get a feeling of, quote, reading a room as
Mhm.
we enter it, or we might sense that a person is saying all of the right things, and yet something still feels off about them.
Yep.
This is also our clairsentience in action. We can sense the subtle through our clairsentience. We might sense what is happening beneath what our body's eyes show us.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I know you have, and as I
Mhm.
have on many occasions,
Mhm.
you just get the feeling.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
just get the feeling. And
You
that
walk somewhere and you already know, like, that
yeah,
it's very something's going on.
something's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't,
Yeah.
maybe you can't put your finger on it, but you know. And then all of a sudden you kind of zone into the one person that where you feel, and I don't know. I've always felt that way with people, and it's been denied, obviously. They deny it, and that's fine. That's their prerogative to deny it. But I can say, everything okay? I sense like there's something going on. No, 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 I'm fine. Nothing, nothing. Okay. Nothing to see here. But I know I can feel it. There's something heavy within that person or people or whatever. But yeah,
Which
well,
that's kind of like empathy.
mm-hmm.
I mean, real empathy, not just the empathy of, I feel sad and sorry for you, but like
Yeah,
the true empathy from the Course of Miracles that talks about, um, that uh, that you're one with them and you have this experience is not to make them make you feel sorry or sad for them, but for you to actually connect with them.
yeah. It's more like you're feeling what they're feeling.
Yeah,
That's how I how I experience it anyway. Like,
yeah,
oh, something's
yeah.
not right. Yeah.
And I've had weird, when I used to work for this company in Illinois, we
Mhm.
had a lot of salespeople that came through that I dealt with. And this one guy, this one sales guy, when he would come in, I would always have this really uneasy feeling of him. And this is really not nice, I guess.
Yeah.
But one night I had a dream, and I dreamed that he was a serial killer. Now,
Oh dear.
I had no thought, no evidence to this at all, right?
Yeah.
But I dreamed this. And so the next time he came, well, like I called this company and said, uh, I mean, it scared me. I
Hmm.
didn't want to be with him.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk to him. I
Yeah.
didn't want to be around him. I have no idea
Mm.
about anything about him.
Yeah.
But but it scared me so much I called the company and told them I'm not interested in your product anymore. Don't send this guy to my company again.
Yeah.
And I mean it was bad. I felt bad because I thought, oh well, he's a guy, he needs his sales to make a living.
Hmm.
But I just had that feeling was so strong in me
Yeah.
that I could not shake it.
Yeah.
And God only knows what was really going on with that guy.
Yeah.
But even now, when I'm thinking about it, I feel bad. I think, I stopped his sales, and that was, uh, you know, but I can't help it. I
Yeah.
just had that feeling. So,
Well,
and
that's almost like when you have your birth angels, right? You have your group of spirit guides and Jesus, everybody that walks with us, that we're never really alone. And your spirit, I mean, your guides, your birth angels, sorry, your birth angels, they are protecting you. So then you start getting these feelings like be careful, be careful. It's like it's very, very strong until you act. And yeah, you may feel guilty, but at the same time, you find relief in doing so
Yeah,
because maybe he wasn't, maybe he was. Maybe he had bad intentions with you, and talking to him more and more and more, like he gather more information from you.
yeah.
So who knows? I mean,
Those I don't know, and and because like I said, there was nothing concrete. It
mm,
was just a feeling, and
yeah,
that dream was enough to make me like, no way.
yeah,
And no matter what, I mean,
yeah, yeah,
I just there was something bad.
right.
So, and maybe I did. Maybe I saved myself from
Hmm.
some situation that I
Right.
don't even know about.
Because
But,
you listened.
but I listened, yeah. So,
You
but
had the clairsentience and you had your claircognizance working.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I back in those days, I was very clear.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I had, I think, a lot more intuition about things back then.
Hmm.
When I wasn't so, I didn't even know about A Course in Miracles at that time. I didn't know anything. So I was just doing my own little spiritual search. So reading my own things, books and stuff. But this makes sense. Anyway, anything else on this? Let's see.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
clairsentience and ACIM.
I'll let you read.
Okay. So Helen Schuckman provides us with a fabulous example of clairsentience. As described in her autobiography, Helen used her clairsentience to help a girl in the airport who was terrified of flying, even though she showed no outward signs of distress. And this is in Helen's words autobiography, page 37 and 38. So she said, "We had to change planes late that night on the way home and waited almost an hour in a cold, almost deserted airport. Huddled against the wall was a young woman, obviously traveling by herself. I could feel waves and waves of misery going through her. I mentioned her to Bill, who was against my talking to her. We were both exhausted, and he did not feel up to getting involved with strangers at that point. Besides, I might well be simply imagining her distress. She did not give any outward signs of anything but sleepiness. I could not, however, escape from the strong feelings of pain I was receiving from her. Finally, I told Bill I could not help myself and went to talk to her. Her name was Charlotte, and she said she was scared stiff. She had never flown before. Would I sit with her and hold her hand? Oh. Helen and Bill proceeded to help Charlotte, and after the trio arrived in New York City, they got her a hotel room and continued to take care of her until she soon returned home. Helen says, and this I seem to hear from Jesus is really my church. Autobiography, page 38. Helen used her clairsentience to help a person in need. Outside of Helen's experience, at first glance, it might seem as though A Course in Miracle does not address feelings, or when it does, the Course seems to equate feelings with the ego. For example, feeling guilt, feeling fear, etc. However, if you look closely, you'll see that the Course's teachings are designed to induce feelings that point us beyond the body as we slowly transfer our identification from a body to the truth of who we are. You need to feel, emphasis added, feel something to put your faith in. As you lift from the body, you need a real experience of something else. And that's from a Course in Miracle workbook. The entire course is designed to give us a real experience of something else. In the workbook, many of the lessons are designed to bring us into certain feelings And these feelings, while experienced in the body, are prompted by the truth that comes from beyond the body. Here are a few quotes from A Course in Miracles that point us to intuitive feeling slash clear sentience, because you're feeling something beyond the body. If you are doing the exercises correctly, you should experience some sense of relaxation and even a feeling that you are approaching, if not actually entering into light. That's workbook 44. Then, if you are doing the exercises properly, you will begin to feel a sense of being lifted up and carried ahead. In the latter phase of the practice period, try to reach down into your mind to a place of real safety. You will recognize that you have reached it if you feel a sense of deep peace, however briefly. And the last one, try to feel safety surrounding you, hovering over you, and holding you up. While the workbook contains many more references to using feeling to help connect us to the truth, it's important to note that clairsentience also plays a role in navigating the dream world. For instance, if you have ever entered a room and immediately felt the vibe of the room, this is your clairsentience in action. Clairsentience is not only intuitive feelings of truth, but clairsentience is also our ability to, lost my line here, but clairsentience is also our ability to feel the unspoken as we move throughout the dream. So, in other words, intuitive feelings can come to us vertically from spirit, and intuitive feelings can also come to us horizontally from within the dream. I am not saying the ego has its own intuition, but rather we do share one mind and one, yeah, but rather we do share one mind and are interconnected, even within a dream of separation. We are also reviewing mentally what has gone by. So it is quite possible to feel things about the dream because it is already over and done with. Personally, I've found that when the ego gets out of the way, that's when the intuitive guidance can most clearly come through. And of course, the ego can use that guidance on its behalf. But if we're vigilant, we can maintain clear, open channels with the help of angels and the Holy Spirit. You might be tempted to dismiss horizontal clairsentient feelings, for example, reading a room or sensing what someone feels, as a projection. And it is possible it can be. Ultimately, everything here is a projection. At the same time, we all came into this illusory world in a state of clairsentience. Babies don't understand words, but they feel, absorb, and respond to the energy around them. We are all born clairsentient, and some of us have retained this ability to feel the vibes around us. So while this entire world is a projection, it is also possible to be in a state of perception that can feel subtle energy from others. After all, minds are joined.
So I just want to stop. Let's see,
Yeah,
before we can move on, to, talk a little bit about some of the things, she mentioned that feelings that the course talks about, and you're feeling wholly joyous, or you're feeling this, or, these, Jesus talks a lot about feelings in A
yes,
Course in Miracles. And he says, how do you know if you're doing this right? how do you feel?
Mm,
Because that's a real indication of, that you're actually doing it um, correctly or incorrectly. If you're not feeling happy, um, it's because you've chosen, what he says, if you're not feeling wholly joyous, it's because you've decided against a brother, or you've decided against a loving thought. And
mm,
so, this is why these feelings are so important for us to look at. And excuse me, I do the nonviolent communication, and a big part of that is looking at the feelings, because once you recognize, I'm feeling this, then you can actually point to the wrong-minded thinking that's leading you to that feeling.
mm,
Uh, and so, uh, uh, if I'm not feeling wholly joyous, it's because I've reacted with a lack of love to
mm,
one of God's creations. Then
mm,
I can know that, the only reason I'm not happy is because I'm not loving, whatever, situation, person, government, whatever it is.
mm,
And so using those feelings as um, indicators to point to me where I'm making the mistake is so important, because then I can, look at, why am I making this mistake? And what is it that I'm actually thinking that is giving me the idea that something is wrong?
yeah,
And same thing, if I am feeling these feelings of joy and inspiration and all of that, that is connecting with my own holy mind, the Holy Spirit in my mind. And so it's really important to pay attention to these things, whether you know why they're there or what's going on.
mm,
Uh, they're there to point to something. So, and I love that. Then clairsentience is the pointer.
yeah. That's very good. I like that. So, should we continue?
Yeah, we
At
have.
least, at
Okay.
least, let's see if we can get through this one.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Signs you may have clairsentient abilities. Common phrases. You often use the phrase I feel or I sense all the time. Your process of listening, you listen deeply to others by feeling the words that other people say. Preference for nature and quiet. Yep. You feel peaceful and connected through being in nature and with animals. Eh. Quiet time is replenishing for you. You may find that large crowds or busy places easily drain or overwhelm you. Yep. Environmental sensitivity. You are sensitive to your surroundings. You might be affected by noise, commotion, and other people's emotional states. Yep. Goosebumps. You get goosebumps when you feel and know something to be true. While goosebumps are indicative of the kinesthetic aspect of intuition, claircognizance and clairsentience, knowing and feeling, often occur together. Feeling the subtle. You can feel what is going on beneath the surface. For example, someone may say all the right things, but something still feels off. That's you. Empathy. You easily relate to other people and are very empathetic towards others. You can easily feel what others feel, for better or for worse. Decision making. You just take time to feel into an issue before making a decision. You get gut feelings about people, places, and events, and this aids in your decision making. You can feel whether or not something is right for you. You must feel a positive sense from deep within yourself before saying yes to something. Sensitivity. You may have trouble watching intense movies or television shows because you find you lose yourself in them. Violence on the screen is felt by you. It may be hard to read or watch intense news, especially before bedtime. It is possible that others have told you that you are too sensitive.
Yep.
Check, check, check.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah. The only thing is, with animals, I love animals, but I'm not that much of a pet person that I would be, living with a lot of pets. It's been more for the kids than anything for me. I love them and I feel deeply for them. And I can say that I've had deep connections with at least one of them, that I felt like I was so connected to this dog that it just felt, I don't know, it just felt so different for me.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, but the quiet, I'm all about. I just need like to be alone. Like I just need that quiet time because I do find that people do drain me. Big crowds and certain people, I just feel drained.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, me too. And
Mhm.
and the animal thing,
Yeah.
it's really weird about me with animals. I
Mhm.
love animals, but I do not believe that it's natural for animals to be pets. And I understand like dogs, okay, they've kind of grown to depend on us. And so for the most part, you can't just leave dogs to run off with
Right.
no one taking care of them, although
Right.
people do it a lot.
Yeah.
Cats kind of the same way.
Mhm.
I have 7 cats that live here in my house. I do not like cats. I'm allergic to cats, in fact.
Oh, jeez.
But but we have 7 of them here.
Oh,
And then a
oh, I think I
bunch
lost
of them
you.
that live outside too, because my partner, cat person.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
There
Can
you
you hear
are. I
me?
got you. I got you back. I
Okay,
had,
okay, all right.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't think personally that it is natural or kind to take an animal and make it live your life.
Mhm.
I don't agree with, keeping horses. I don't agree with keeping cattle. I
Mhm.
don't agree with keeping these are animals that have their own life.
Mhm.
And we make them dependent on us
Mhm.
and actually take away their life from them. I personally, I just think it's horrible.
Yeah.
So that that's why, I tend to be a vegetarian,
Mhm.
not because, I just don't think it's right for animals and people to cohabit like that.
Mhm.
And really, if you live like here in Colorado, like if I go to visit my sister and she lives in Kansas, and we drive across the highway here, you go by miles and miles and miles of cattle standing in mud and their own poop.
Oh no.
They're just standing there, they can't run around, they can't
Oh.
move, they're just in these big pens.
Oh
And
no.
they're just being fattened up to, go be slaughtered. And I think that is like, what's up with that? That
Yeah,
just
that's
seems so
bad.
unnatural to me. And I'm not saying anything about anybody else's
Yeah.
or ideas. I love animals. I want them to have their life, just like I would not be happy if I was being, herded up into someplace and made to stay there and eat what they fed me and
Mhm.
not have my own life. But
Yeah.
that's me. I
Yeah.
have that sensitivity to animals.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I have a friend, she's a truck driver,
Mhm.
and she was hauling something to a feedlot, and she pulled up her truck and she saw the cows that were being led up the ramp to go and be, killed.
Mhm.
And this one cow just turned and looked at her and looked into her
Oh,
eyes. She
oh,
just was like, "Oh my God." I
yeah.
and she that day became a vegetarian. She's like,
I
"I'm
can
never
hear
gonna
this.
be
Yeah.
involved in this again,"
Yeah.
because she saw the being that was there
Mhm.
that was not, I mean, I'm not ranting on trying to,
Yeah.
change people's diets,
Right.
but
Right.
I'm just saying, I don't, I love animals. I don't want them to be my prisoners.
Yeah, yeah. I get it.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, there's something along the lines of goosebumps that I wanted to share.
Yes.
And I don't think I shared it on the 28th when we met last. Um, so I on the 24th, Christmas Eve, my daughter and I were talking in my office craft room slash craft room. And um and then all of a sudden we heard jingle bells. But they didn't they sounded like close, but they were far. I don't know. And they were just very specific. It's almost like what you hear what Santa would have, like a whole bunch of jingle bells, and they would go chee, 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 like that.
Uh-huh.
Just the natural, obviously, I can't imitate the jingle bell sound. So we both looked at each other. We were talking and we stopped, and I looked at her and I said, "Did you hear that?" We both said, "Did you hear that?" Yes. And she said, "What was that? Did something move in here?" And I'm like, "I don't have anything like that." And I had these little dolls that have one jingle bell each on their head, but they weren't moving. And then she said, "What is Santa flying over?" And she peeked out the window. She's 44. So she was just like, "What's going on?" And we left it at that, right? So finally this Friday, I it was my turn that I could actually ask a question. And I asked a question on this group with Sterling. I keep talking about him. I don't get anything. I just keep on talking about him. Um, and I asked, and he said, "Oh, those are your relatives. They were coming to basically they just came to say they were there, and that the bells, any type of bell or jingle bells, that they are very high vibration and they're very easy for them to create those sounds, those bell sounds."
Um,
And he says, "Oh, as a matter of fact, it's your relatives and a couple of animals," but he didn't say dog, cat, what. He just said a couple of animals. And my gosh, as soon as I heard that, I just started crying. I was here in my room listening, and I started crying. And as I'm thinking about it, I just get all kinds of chills. So I went over, knocked on my daughter's door, and I said, "Hey, can I tell you something?" And she saw me crying, and she's like, "Oh my God, what happened?" I'm like, "No, no, it's good actually." So I told her, and as I was telling her, my entire body was like those chills, almost like a vibration going from the top of your head all the way to your toes. It was like complete body chills, like waves and waves. And I'm like, okay, so this is like proving, what it says, feel and know something to be true, because you can feel that even when you're relating something, you can feel that thing that you are
you
saying
true.
or hearing is
Yeah.
true. So
Yeah, I get that completely. And that gave me chills. So but looky here, our time is up. Uh
I know.
we'll start back next week. We'll
Yes,
finish clairsentience.
yes.
I just marked here, so we
It's
didn't finish this paragraph and we'll
for
go back.
Yeah, well,
Uh
actually, we're on clairsentience in the body, right? I don't think we read that one.
we haven't yet, no.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
So we'll pick it
Okay.
up again next week. Hey Rafi, good to see you.
Hi, may I just throw in a comment?
Sure.
Um, when I was in my late teens and early 20s, I found it very difficult to communicate with people in crowds. If the guys in the neighborhood I hang around with my family, that was fine. If I got outside, but when I got on stage and in front of a camera, I had no problem. And then I learned when I was in acting school, I learned actually how to communicate socially
Okay.
without being afraid, without wondering if I'm not saying the right thing. Okay, then years go by, and I get into all of these metaphysical practices, Sedona method, release technique, Course in Miracles, self-realization, whatever I could get my hands on. And I found that when I was talking with somebody, just look in their eyes and listen, and not evaluate what they were saying, because to me evaluation and judging is the same thing. So you're coming from an ego concept, an ego point of view, and just listen. And what I had to say back to them just came out naturally. And apparently it was supposed to be what it was. It was the right thing without planning on, I should say this or I should say that or I should, so it's interesting how this evolution took place and how I'm now in a place where I never have to think about it at all. It just comes organically. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Rafi. Yeah, absolutely. And it just does come naturally when you're aligned with the spirit. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Zita, for being here on Sunday. Thank you, Rafi. Thank you, Jorge. It's so good to have you here with us. And we'll talk to you next week.
Will do. Thank
Love
you.
you.
Love
Bye.
you too. Bye.